Yes, uh, welcome. Today we are going to look at water in foods. This is our fourth class in our Introduction to Food Chemistry lecture series. Water is one of the most abundant compounds in food. We all know that water is very important, and about 70% of our body constitutes water. So water is a fundamental component of all foods, and it plays a crucial role in their structure, safety, stability, and sensory attributes. And almost all foods contain water, even sugar, salt, and oils. For example, leafy vegetables contain approximately 90% water, and cooked meats contain about 50 to 65% water. So what are some of the roles of water in foods? Water is very essential for cellular structure and function of foods. It also contributes to the chemical reactions in foods. It also provides food texture and appearance, and it's also very important for preservation and also contributes to spoilage in foods. The broader functions of water in foods can be categorized into three, and the first one is the nutritional and structural significance. Here we see that water constitutes a significant portion of most foods, ranging from about 70% to 95% in fruits and vegetables. It's also very essential for cellular structure and acts as a medium for biochemical reactions. The second is the functional role. Here we find that water influences the texture, the appearance, and the flavor of foods. For example, the presence of water affects the softness of baked goods and also the juiciness of meats. The other role is in processing and preservation. In food processing, we find that water is used for cleaning, for heating, for cooling, and it also acts as a very important solvent. Its quality can impact the efficiency of these processes and the final product's quality. Forms of water in food. We have about four major forms of water in food. And the first one is the free water. This is water that moves freely. It acts as a solvent, and it is found in the cytoplasm and also in body fluids. The second is hydrates. Water that is chemically bound via hydrogen bonds, and it involves compounds like starches, proteins, and salts. The third is the imbibed water. The imbibed water is the water that is absorbed, and it causes swelling in substances, for example, gels. And the fourth is the adsorbed water. Adsorbed water is the water held on surfaces of solids. Even dry powders like cocoa hold adsorbed water. Let's look at the roles of each of these types of water we have talked about. The free water, the functional role of free water is it acts as a solvent for salts, for sugars, and proteins. It also facilitates microbial growth and spoilage, and it can easily be removed by drying. The hydrated water is very important in chemical binding, and here we find that hydrogen bonds with polar molecules such as oxygen and nitrogen. This kind of water cannot easily be removed, and we can mainly find it in starches, proteins, and salts. The imbibed water is very important in the formation of gels. And here we find that substances absorb water and swell, for example, pectin and gelatin. And this water is not chemically bound, but it is physically retained. And it is very key in gel formation and food texture. The adsorbed water is very important in surface binding. The thin layer bound to food particle surfaces. This is the adsorbed water, and it's found in finely powdered solids, for example, cocoa. It affects the texture, the shelf life, and rehydration processes in foods. Let's look at the concept of the sorption isotherm. The sorption isotherm shows the relationship between water activity. The sorption isotherm shows the relationship between water activity and moisture content in food. It is a crucial concept when it comes to understanding water activity, moisture content, and its impact on food stability, shelf life, drying, and packaging. Water activity can be defined as the measure of free water available for microbial growth and chemical reactions. Moisture content, this is the total amount of water in a food product. Let's look at the key concepts and the key definitions in the sorption isotherm. We said that the sorption isotherm is a mathematical graphical representation of the relationship between water activity and moisture content in food. So this plot or this graph usually plots the equilibrium moisture content, the EMC of a food, against the water activity at a constant temperature. We have two types of sorption isotherms, and the first one is the adsorption isotherm. And this occurs when dry food absorbs water or moisture from the environment. We also have the desorption isotherm. This occurs when moist food releases moisture. So adsorb is to bring water to itself. So water, you find that the dry foods absorb water or moisture from the environment. Then to desorb is to release. This one occurs now when moisture or when moist food releases moisture. So these processes exhibit hysteresis. And here we majorly mean that the path of adsorption and desorption do not perfectly overlap. The behavior of a sorption isotherm. At low moisture content of less than 50%, small changes in water content can cause large shifts in water activity. And this in fact impacts the food shelf life and microbial stability significantly. Most foods exhibit two types. Most foods exhibit type 2 sigmoidal isotherms. One, low activity water or low water activity between 0.0 to 0.2. Here water is strongly bound and it forms a monolayer. The second is the medium water activity between 0.2 to 0.7. And you find that here water is less tightly bound and it forms a multi-layer. And the third is the high activity water above 0.7. And here we find that there is free or loosely bound water which supports microbial growth. So we mainly looked at two types of the sorption isotherms, and this brings us to sorption processes. We have three main sorption processes. The adsorption, which involves the uptake of moisture by dry food when exposed to humid air, and then desorption, that involves release of moisture from food during drying. And finally, we have resorption. This is the reabsorption of water by food that was previously dried. So what is the importance of the sorption isotherm in food science and food chemistry? The sorption isotherm helps to determine, one, the ideal storage conditions, the packaging requirements, and also the drying and rehydration behavior of foods. It is also very essential for preserving quality and the safety of food products. And thank you so much. This is what we have for lecture 4 of Introduction to Water in Foods.